Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Star Wars Rogue One. So, of course, with my movie reviews, usually have a non-spoiler portion and a spoiler portion. So let's start with the non-spoiler portion, and then I'll warn you guys when we get to spoilers. So, what is this movie about without spoiling anything? It's about, we'll say, this ragtag team, our lead being Jyn, played by Felicity Jones, and they have to get the plans of the Death Star. That's pretty much the big plot. I mean, there's a lot going on between there, learning more about these characters and I guess why they come together, and seeing how it connects to the other movies. So what did I think of the movie overall? I was really surprised with this. Now, I was already looking forward to it because it's Star Wars and it's a good pump-up movie to get to Episode 8. But then I heard reviews saying this is the best Star Wars movie and better than Force Awakens. And for me personally, that's my favorite Star Wars movie is Force Awakens. So I'm like, alright, let's see if this could beat Force Awakens. And, you don't want to compare this movie to that, but at the same time you do, because it's hard not to, because they're both Star Wars movies, and this is a year later, after Force Awakens came out. But what I liked about this movie is that it definitely, obviously, has a lot of Star Wars elements, and I'll say themes, but it's different, some of the themes they explore. Really, it's more side of the war. It's what is everyone else doing, or this group of people are doing, while, Return of the Jedi, or in between Return of the Jedi and A New Hope. So, I liked it. There's a lot of surprises. There's a technology thing I was really surprised by in the end. That's all I'm gonna say. And I feel like it doesn't do too much fan service, but it has fan service. So I think there's a really good balance between fan service here. If you've seen the trailers, Darth Vader is in this movie, and he's utilized very well here. He's not like in an hour of the movie. He's in a couple of scenes and they utilize him well. So I like that. And again, the war aspect, the action was really well done. There are times, I will say, when it gets a little prolonged, so maybe in a second viewing I was like, I could kind of rewind, I could fast forward that. So there's some action scenes that are very prolonged, but I feel like that Star Wars in general kind of tends to do that. So if you're used to that with Star Wars, there are very long action scenes, but it leads into interesting endings. So for me, like I said, I was surprised because I was like, what can you do with this? You kind of know the end of the story already. It's like a prequel movie. Do you need a prequel? And here, did you need the movie? I don't know. But it definitely was a fun movie to kind of fill in the pieces. And it was, I think, a really well done kind of missing story movie where you tend to say, alright, I know the ending, why do I care? But you do care, because you care about these characters, the characters they built in this movie. So I give the whole movie 4.25 stars. Again, I do enjoy, some of the past Star Wars movies a little bit more. Obviously, this is much better than the prequels. I won't include those. But, and I did like Force Awakens a little bit more, but I really enjoyed this movie and was pleasantly surprised by it. So let's start talking about some spoilers in this movie, because damn, things happen. Everyone dies in this movie, and that's the surprising part, and it didn't feel like a moment where it's like, let's throw everything but the kitchen sink, it wasn't like they did it just for the shock value. It was very much about the story. It's about war, and it shows that not everyone's going to survive, and in this matter, it showed why the rebellion and hope matters, and a lot of times, our heroes survived, but here, none of them did. The cause was stronger than this one or, all these lives in their opinion, in this war story. So, it was very much about a cause, and to defeat Darth Vader, and to try to get the Death Star, map, we'll say, instructions map it, I guess, to the Alliance, and the ending, I was so shocked at, and that's what I was talking about with technology, where you have this transition shot to old footage with Princess Leia, and it was so well done. Just the way they refreshed the footage, it looked like it was part of the movie. It looked like, you know, Princess Leia was just casted, and you see this young Carrie Fisher. I mean, that ending blew me away, and it just connects the two movies so well. So, yeah, and then there are other questions you have that definitely will, a second viewing would be needed. For me, someone who's not as hardcore of a Star Wars fan, but definitely loves Star Wars, I was curious about, they mentioned a female Jedi. Like, who was that? Like, I missed it if they, you know, mentioned it again. Or is that going to be a connection for the future? If you guys know, if you're more of a hardcore Star Wars fan, let me know your theories, or if you know exactly what that meant. And then the crystal I was very curious about, because this movie wasn't a lot about Jedis, you know, that's what was really cool about it. It focused on the other characters who didn't have the Force, or at least there was one character with the Force, but he wasn't doing like lightsaber fights, and I loved his character, and just adding also the diversity was done so well here in disabilities. Our main Jedi is blind, and he used the Force as another sense, and I thought that was really cool. So I enjoyed that aspect. But going back to the crystal, I am curious what that meant, and I feel like maybe with a second viewing, you could find out, or maybe that's a key to a future movie, or you would have to rewatch the other Star Wars movies to kind of figure it out. So if you have the answer, though, in the comments, let me know. But those, like, little things that with a second viewing, you could come up with more, you know, more ideas of what all this meant, because there was a lot of Easter eggs, but it wasn't heavy on fan service where you're like, oh, they only did this to reference this and to reference that. It was very much its own story, and all our characters were really interesting, but I felt like they weren't best friends, which was cool. They fought together, you know, and they became brothers in arms in a lot of ways, so I liked the bond, but it wasn't so much, oh, here's this ragtag team. It was about building an army. So it kind of was a different view of what we've seen in Star Wars, which is usually the ragtag team. We've, you know, seen it in the future episodes, and we've seen that in the past. You know, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker. But this, it kind of took a different form. It took a different approach to Star Wars, which I liked. And then going back to Darth Vader, I mean, there was that cool lightsaber moment, but they used it sparingly. It wasn't over the top. So, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie because of how surprising it was, how much story they could add to it, where it's more of a missing episode. It's not about continuing the story and learning about, you know, Rey or something. It wasn't about that. It's actually a missing episode type story, but they have a lot in it, and that's a hardship, and they really succeed in this movie. So overall, I gave it 4.25 stars. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the movie. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter, and don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.